What the devil are we? I'm Matt, and we're back with some more nukes. This time, it's UFOs. Now, I think being in nearly April 2026, are we going to get disclosure this year? We got Steven Spielberg's film Disclosure Day coming. Apparently, alien.gov has been registered by the White House. Is that illegal aliens, or is it extraterrestrial kind? Who knows? We've got people like General McCaslin going missing. People in that sort of space being shot at home by mysterious invaders. Other people going missing. It's a weird time in the UFO space. But are we nearly there? We've got JD Vance calling them demons. I knew there were some people in Congress that was in the White House and the administration that's taking the angelic and demonic view on the subject. But yeah, these are some of the old UFO sightings. And the fact that they're old, I guarantee they've still never been solved. Because you can't really solve something that you can see in the sky, can you? Anyway, let's take a look.
The top 5 UFO sightings caught on tape. The U.S. Department of Defense secret UFO program.
To maybe our favorite story of the day, the one that we mentioned at the top of the show, what looks to be a case of real-life X-Files, ladies and gentlemen.
Just this month, the U.S. Defense Department revealed that it had spent over $22 million on the, quote, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program.
Apparently, is it AATIP, which was the preceding the program before it became AATIP, and they're basically investigating ghosts and demons at Skinwalker Ranch. Good use of taxpayer money. No wonder they kept it quiet.
Basically, the program's sole purpose.
Or was it just a $22 million payoff for Bigelow Aerospace?
Was to investigate authenticated UFO sightings. The Department of Defense had previously denied that the program even existed for over 10 years. Along with the admission, some documented UFO encounters by the U.S. Navy were finally released to the public. In this clip, 2 Navy Air Force pilots encounter an object like nothing they've ever seen, all caught on camera.
Dude, there's a fucking drone, bro. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
I think everybody has seen these now. They've been done to death.
My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude.
I like how the one of the other comments, which never really got picked up, was there's a whole fleet of them. And apparently during the USS Nimitz incident, where Dave Fravor, who was one of the pilots, obviously you saw the Tic-Tac, one of the radar technicians in there was saying that for the entire week they were just seeing these things pop up, and there was loads of them, like an entire fleet.
That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is an LNS, dude. Well, if there's like that thing, it's rotating.
The pilots first think the object might be a drone.
Dude, this is a fucking drone, bro.
Until it makes a bizarre rotation that no drone would be capable of. One of the pilots also mentions eerily that there is a, quote, whole fleet of the objects flying in the air.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
That's the thing, the whole fleet of them. And apparently that had been happening off the California coast for a while.
NASA UFO cover-up. NASA streams a live feed from the International Space Station on the website ustream.tv.
Let me guess, something shows up and then the feed cuts. I think Ross Coulthart, I reacted to it on another video. I think it was Reality Check, where he said he was at NASA with a few other people, and his wife sort of nudged him and said, look at that. And there was a monitor, and behind the ISS was like objects that appeared. And when the director, who was sort of giving them sort of a bit of a tour, made a motion to somebody else, and then they ended up cutting the feed. which was really strange.
Regular users claim that occasionally unexplained objects show up around the space station, but NASA then immediately cuts the live feed. Even though NASA says that the feed only goes down when there is a loss of connection with the station's camera, conspiracy theorists speculate that the feed is being cut for much more nefarious reasons.
That might be what... It's weird, but that might be what Ross Coulter was talking about.
To cover up live footage of UFOs. In these clips, supposedly captured live by viewers, we see the appearance of some very strange objects around the space station. The camera then immediately switches to another view, or just cuts out completely.
I mean, part of me is thinking this could be US Air Force technology as well, or Department of Defense tech, where obviously you're not going to keep the feed up if you've got spy satellites up there or other things. But I think there's enough evidence now to know that NASA are aware of some of these things. And every time something interesting appears, it's like, let's cut the feed. And there, or it's only when we're experiencing temporary loss of signal. It's bollocks. I mean, because my point about it being US Air Force tech or whatever, if you look at it there, nobody's going to go, oh, you know what? The Chinese are not going to sit there going, that's that satellite from the US Air Force that can do X, Y, Z. Because you can't see any other satellites. Otherwise, you'd be seeing loads of these things. So, straight away you think, right, okay, NASA are under orders or under construction, under instruction, to basically say, if anytime something anomalous appears, cut the feed.
Chilean Navy UFO. Earlier this year, the government of Chile released a strange video shot by a Navy helicopter.
I saw this, and at first I thought, it's just a Chinook that someone's caught on camera. But then it starts doing weird stuff, so yeah, don't think it was.
In the video, the pilot switches between normal video and thermal imaging. The bizarre object is not visible in regular video, but can clearly be seen in thermal view. The craft seems to emit some strange spray or gas as it flies across the sky. This controversial video was released after 2 years of study and investigation by both the Chilean government and independent investigators.
I can't remember which one's which now. Is white heat and black is cold? Or is it the other way around?
8 governmental meetings were held to try to determine what the object was. A team of French analysts suggested that it was simply a medium-haul aircraft dumping cabin wastewater as it came in for a landing. However, this explanation was soon thrown out. You see, the unidentified object did not show up on radar as a traditional plane would. It also
could be a stealth.
Didn't respond to attempts at radio contact. And finally, planes do not normally release liquid when landing. In fact, given the warm temperatures that day, aeronautical engineers say that the plane would likely have immediately crashed to the ground if it had released water at that altitude. Experts in everything from meteorology to astrophysics studied the footage.
Not sure why it would crash to the ground, just because it's releasing water.
But no one could explain what the object was or what it might be releasing into the atmosphere.
Terraforming.
The U.S. Department of Defense Secret UFO Program 2. This next clip was also made public after the U.S. Department of Defense revealed that they had been actively investigating UFO encounters for over 10 years. In 2004, Navy pilots Commander David Fravor and Lieutenant Commander Jim Slate were on a training mission 100 miles off the coast of California when they received a strange order to investigate a UFO. You see, for weeks, the local airbase had been tracking strange, unidentified flying objects on radar.
Apparently, really, really frequently.
The objects would appear.
The USS Nimitz had been picking up on radar, but somebody appeared in plain clothes apparently and took the digital tapes with all the radar data on it.
On radar at 80,000 feet, drop down to 20,000 feet, then either zoom back up into space or simply disappear.
Fravor said that. He said, when he was testifying in front of Congress with David Grush, said, I don't know anything that could just drop in from 80,000 feet, hang around for a few hours, and then zip back up again. He said, I'm not aware of anything that we've got that can do that.
One of these strange objects had been spotted on radar, and the two pilots were ordered to investigate. They were shocked by what they found. The object did not show up on their F-18's radar, but they could detect it on their thermal imaging camera. Commander Fravor said that the object was hovering in place over the ocean. The sea below it seemed to bubble and churn, almost as if the seawater were actually boiling. In the video, we can see the pilots continue.
Makes me wonder as well. I mean, were these things actually released? If this is like human tech, could it be that these things have been released by an underwater submersible? Which is why when it's spotted above the water, it's because it was released from an underwater submersible, and then all that bubbling is obviously air bubbles, and then it started flying around. Who knows?
Continuously zooming in and out on the object, switching viewing modes, as if trying to figure out what it might be that they were seeing. Commander Fravor decided to fly directly toward the object to determine once and for all what it actually was. That's when the UFO suddenly darted away at incredible speed. Fravor said, quote, "It accelerated like nothing I've ever seen." He added, "I have no idea what I saw. It had no plumes, wings, or rotors, and outran our F-18s.
Another thing he said as well is it sort of, when they was going down to sort of circle it, it was coming up as well to meet them, flying very intelligently. Then it sort of zipped away, and just in a blink of an eye, it was gone. And then he got a report over the radio from one of the ships to say, that thing that you were tracking, we found it. It's 60 miles away at the cat point, and the cat point was basically the rendezvous point that only they would have known because they were doing the exercise. And the fact that it was 60 miles away in the blink of an eye means, one, it was travelling incredibly fast, and two, how the hell did it know where the cat point was? So that's another weird element to it.
The Aguadilla UFO. On April 25, 2013, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security was conducting a scheduled Customs and Border inspection from a Dash 8Q-200 aircraft in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico. As they took off from the airport, they spotted a strange flashing light flying in the dark over the airfield and circled back. When they turned back, the light on the flying object suddenly went off. They suspected that it might be the small plane of a drug smuggler.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Drug cartels.
Trying to avoid detection by turning off his lights. They began recording the flying object on their plane-mounted thermal imaging camera. What they found was certainly no small plane. The unidentified object can be seen moving very fast and low over the landscape.
Is this the one where I think it dives into the sea? The problem is, it's difficult as well because obviously the plane that's tracking this is moving. And then obviously it could be flying there, and then that could be going the other way. So it's giving the perception that it's traveling really fast. Or for all you know, it could be a balloon going about 10 miles an hour. It'd be good if they actually explain, oh, we've tracked it and it was actually doing this speed at this altitude, and the size of it is actually this. It seems to wobble about a bit. It could be a balloon. I mean, yeah. You don't have any perception of size or anything, do you? For a second now, I thought all of them were more of them.
It then flies over the ocean, and this is when things really get weird. The object actually begins to dip above and below the ocean's surface, all without causing a noticeable splash or decreasing speed. Then, even more incredibly, an identical object seems to join the other craft, flying.
So, I don't want to give them props or anything, but I think is it Arrow investigated this one from memory. It's only when I've seen it going over the water now. It is the one I'm thinking of. They said the reason why it looks like it splashed in the water is because obviously it's tracking the heat signature. And the reason why it looks like it splashes in the water is because it matches the temperature of the water behind it. So it doesn't actually splash down. It just basically looks a bit to fade because the background and the object is the same temperature.
Formation.
Is that real? I don't know.
The source of the leaked video is unknown,
And that could be a sensor echo.
but experts have authenticated it to be actual US Department of Homeland Security video. Oddly, the original clip was posted to YouTube, then taken down shortly afterwards. The clip you see here was posted by someone who had saved the copy of the original video before its deletion.
Well, yeah, I mean, end of the day, you are... The conspiracy theorist obviously will say, oh, it's a cover-up and it got taken down by people who don't want it out there. The other side of that is, if you're working in Homeland Security, I'm assuming that you shouldn't be posting video image that of drones or aircraft, monitoring things in the skies. And it's like, you shouldn't really be posting that shit online, so...
If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, please hit that.
Absolutely. Get over to Nukes.5, give them a shout. Obviously, these are going back some years now. I don't want to react to people's new content because, end of the day, I mean, it's not like I've got 100,000 subscribers and it's taking the views away from them. But at the same time, you know what I mean? I shouldn't be reacting to anything new. So, yeah, I do love a good UFO sighting, but hopefully we get some sort of disclosure coming this year. I'm a firm believer there's something to it. What it is, I don't know. I think it's gone more in the woo now. Angels and demons. It's gonna be nuts and bolts and, E.T. from Planet Zod. That's where I'm sort of at. I'm not into the all consciousness and these are demons that we're seeing. But let me know what you think. I'll keep it open mind until proven otherwise. So, yeah, that's all for this one. I'll see you on the next one. You take care.